Y'all ready to go for a ride?
That's all it is at this point. It's just a motorcycle and chaos.
All right, and we're rolling right on the road. Woohoo! Yeah.
So we threw a chain.
There we go. Let's see. Let's take the shaft out of here. It's stuck in there with air pressure, air vacuum. So there's the starter gears. All right, folks. Got my special wrench there. That lets me get up on there like that. Get caught up under the kickstand peg like that. Then put a little pressure on it. And this one takes, there we go, takes a bit of force. And there it is. Alrighty. Now the puller is just a big old bolt. And that threads into the outside. There, now we switch this around, put it up on top of the peg. Does this fit? No, that's right, this doesn't fit. This, it's so weird. I bought this from Eagle Mike, and instead of being a 19 millimeter like it is, it's a standard of some size. It's a standard. It's a, oh, I don't know, 7/8 or 13/16 or something. So let's see, 7/8. Now let's get some. There we go. Feel it pop. It's, there it is. It's sliding free off the shaft. Right there. And now we can pull out our whole rotor like this. Oh, the Woodruff key just fell down in the oil, so we'll have to retrieve that. But there's the rotor. There's the one-way bearing for the clutch, for this guy, for the starter wheel. Let's pull this off of here. Let's just put all that back together like that. See that one-way clutch? Those bearings are one-way clutches in there, and that lets this spin back and forth. You can stay on there. You got that little spacer back there. Other spacer here. Here's our timing chain that we need to replace. See it? It's got kinks in it. It's stiff. It's all stretched out. See it kink? See how that kinks? That's not a good thing. It's not good. This thing is a plastic piece. Rides around this bolt right here. And that pushes in over there and tightens this chain up, but this thing was pushed in all the way and the chain was loose. So obviously our chain is stretched, and as you can see, it doesn't exactly go too smooth. You see those kinks in it? See how it kinks? Yeah, not good, not good. But I'm gonna fix that up. Here's that old timing chain. Looks like we need a new one of those. And inside there is the balancer chain. And that seems kind of a little bit loose too, but we might need another balancer chain too. Let's see that. Let's see, that's tighter now, but you see how the doohickey worked? I loosened this up. This was like over here. Let's tighten it back up. I'll show you. See, this is how your doohickey works in here. This thing is a little adjuster that sticks out. Now, see that chain is loose? What you do, loosen this up. You see that under it goes under the spring tension. You loosen it up so it makes sure the spring gets unloaded. And you tighten it back up in whatever position it falls. And now the chain is tighter, except it's not tighter because looks like I need a new balancer chain too. This balancer chain looks like it's stretched to the limit. Let's get this inner generator case popped off because we need to do that too. And let's just go on back of the starter here and kind of give that a little pop. And now I'll take this off so I can take the doohickey out and all of that right here. There's the torsion spring, so I'm going to loose that. Here's the doohickey. That's the Eagle Mike doohickey. Eagle Mike torsion spring. And this just a little sticky. It's got gasket seal on it. There it goes. There's our inner generator cover. There's a spacer behind here that likes to fall out and go down into the engine case. So what we got to do is we got to pull it out. Now get our finger back there, pull the shaft out so it'll clear. You pull the shaft out and you catch that spacer. Watch. This spacer right in here. This one always wants to drop down into the, it's a hole right there in the engine case and it likes to go right down at the oil pan. There we go. That one. That one. And there's our worn out old tensioner with a guide. Now, like that. Now, the only thing we got to take off is there's not enough room to clear on the oil pump there. So, some old small needle nose with the tips a little modified to grab a circlip. There we go. Let's pull that off. That's the circlip. There's a spacer, like there. And this one has the little springs in it too, and I do not want to lose any of those parts. And I think there's a backer on it. Let's see. Let's see how this is gonna. There we go. This is the water pump right here. If I spin this, it's spinning the water impeller on the other side. I've already had to replace this shaft. That was the impetus for my original rebuild. When I originally rebuilt this thing, this shaft over here on the other side, on the water pump side, it got pitted. So I had to replace that whole counter sprocket, that whole counterbalance sprocket shaft. This whole shaft right through here going through the engine. So I had to take this whole thing apart. I rebuilt this shaft, and when I did, put it all together, and one of the springs inside this little thing, those springs I just showed you, one of them springs went failed through parts in here, and there's a piece from where it smashed the engine case in. There's a little notch in there. But yeah, a whole bunch of parts went through this engine, and it broke more stuff, and then more parts went through it. It bent the valves. So when I did that, I decided I'm just gonna I was going to rebuild the whole thing, because in the course of doing that, I discovered my piston was super loose. My old stock piston, 30-year-old piston, was just all clapped out. So I took the piston out and looked at it, and I had broken piston lands. I had one piston ring, in between the first and second ring, I had a break in 3 places. And I think, I don't know how it broke in 3 places. That was a weird thing, but, and that was not doing me too well. So I went and bored this out. I bought a new, that's a Generation 2 head. That's a Gen 2 head because the Gen 1 head is a little thinner. And I bored this out 1 millimeter, and then I have the extra beef on there with the thicker cylinder wall in this head with the thicker jug liner. So, yeah, this chain doesn't feel too, it's not sticky or anything, but it feels pretty loose, actually. I've been playing with it, just kind of feeling it out as I'm talking. And going over this thing. But yeah, that was the original impetus for the rebuild. Was replacing this shaft right here, and then it cascaded into other failures of old stuff, and bent the valves after the pieces of this thing fell apart. One of those springs had broke. So that's one thing to watch out for. And then, you know, the rest of it here is just, that's the crankshaft. And the chain, it wraps all around this stuff, and it looks complicated, but it's really not that complicated. There's 1 pulley, there's 2 pulley, there's 3 pulley up here, operates the oil, operates the water, it's driven off the crankshaft, and it just has a tensioner down here that pulls it out. So hopefully that demystifies a little bit of the bottom end of a KLR. That's kind of what's in it, and it's not that complicated. You saw me take out the other stuff there. The timing chain runs on this loop right here, on this sprocket. The balancer chain runs on the rear sprocket. And the timing chain is pretty easy to actually replace. It's not too hard. I mean, you just got to kind of open up the head, pull the heads off, or pull the head off. You don't even have to pull the head off. Actually, you can leave the head on. I pulled the head off to check on the head gasket, which looks like it was blown. Looks like I blew a head gasket on this thing, and a whole bunch of stuff just happened to it in the last day or so. And I mean, I put about, I don't know, maybe 20,000 miles on it. It ran really good, and stuff just, the chains are stretching out. So we're gonna replace all these chains. Is what we're gonna do. You could feel right down into the bottom of the oil pan over there, and it doesn't feel like there's any kind of material in there or anything like that. It's like a Swiss watch when you first open it up. But when you really get down into it, it's not that complicated. It's a pretty simple machine, and we're gonna get this all going again. Look at that. You see that? That was the oil, all foamed up right there. Look, turned into gray peanut butter. Nasty. Nasty. We'll have to clean all of that out really good. And flush it all out really good before we put that back together. But yeah, that's the score. That's where we're at. This tensioner over here seems just fine and dandy in here. And there's another piece of the tensioner. It doesn't move, but I'll show that to you. This is the other side of the tensioner, and it rides down in that slot down there. You see that? It goes put down in that slot right there, and it goes right there, like that. And that is that's where the chain rides, in between here. The timing chain comes up between these two, and that chain tensioner, that ratcheting chain tensioner, pushes this in and out, and that makes the chain here tighter or looser. But this thing the ratchet was ratcheted all the way in, and that chain was loose. So that's definitely a problem. We just got loose chains. Looks like we just got to order parts now. We got to make a list of what parts we need. So far I have on my list, I have 2 chains. I have the timing chain that goes on there. I had the balancer chain that runs this. And what else did I have to replace with that? I was going to replace, oh damn. What was the other thing I needed? A head gasket, of course, but I need a head gasket anyways. I think I might just bought a few of them already, and they still have some gaskets left from them. But I think I'm going to buy another whole gasket set, because for like $28, I can buy a gasket set with every gasket for the motorcycle, every gasket for the whole top end, from the base gasket on up. And it's like something like $20-something, or it's a whole engine rebuild kit. It's only $30, and you get all the gaskets with it, and you get extra all kinds of stuff. Get extra valve seals and whatnot. But yeah, I replaced the valve seals. The valve seals in this thing were just absolutely shot too. After 30 years, they were the original valve seals, and when I took this thing apart, those valve seals were pretty shot. They were pretty crusty and crumbly, but surprisingly, they weren't really leaking. I think the valve guides are still tight enough to where they really weren't pouring much in there. So, yeah, that's the score, though. We got to do that. We gotta get those parts, and then we can get this thing back together. We got to get another spark plug, since we yeeted the core out of our spark plug there. That's an odd one. I've seen that happen before, but it's rare. Well, could be worse. It's just a lot of labor, and it's the hassle of waiting for parts. You know, that's the toughest part. Is just waiting for them, and the fact that I got to spend a couple of $100 of my lunch money on them, basically. I think a timing chain is like $50 to $60. I hope the balancing chain isn't too much. I hope it's not more than this one. Hopefully, it's not more than $40, $50. And head gasket kit. I need a spark plug, and I would like to try to find one. They're kind of a hard item to find, but this thing has this like rubberized coating on it right here. And this piece has got a piece of rubberized coating that just broke right off. It just failed over 30 years. This thing actually got all bent and torn up when some of the engine parts went through. This thing got absolutely destroyed when some of the engine parts went through. And I bent it all back into shape. Used some precision hammering and made it all fit right back into shape and made that work. But I lost some of the little protection over there. But it's not in a critical spot. Like, it's more important that there's a little bit left here, there's some left here. And this seemed to be a hard part to find last time. I tried to find one of these, and I couldn't find one that was in good shape. I found a couple of used ones that were just as clapped out as the one I have here. So maybe we'll try to find one of these too, if that's in the cards. But there it is. That's what we're gonna do. Woohoo! I guess we'll go get cleaned up. It's time to sit in front of the old computer, order some parts. Maybe I should. I'm gonna bring a trash bag out here and cover this up a little bit.